I am TJ, joined by Diana. This is the Congressional Times for Monday, June 22nd, 2026.
Good to be here, and we have a lot to get into today.
We do. Iran is dominating the week, and honestly, it is two stories in one, which we are going to treat that way.
Because the diplomatic track and the threat track are basically running at the same time, which is a choice.
So here's the setup. VP J.D. Vance is physically in Bergenstock, Switzerland, leading the U.S. delegation at the Lake Lucerne Summit.
Direct high-level U.S.-Iran talks, the most significant engagement of this kind since the original JCPOA era.
Sessions ran into Sunday night. Both sides described as engaged. The goal on the table is a 60-day structured framework toward a new nuclear agreement.
Which is not a deal. It is a framework to try to make a deal, but that is still further than we have been in years.
The sticking points are the same ones that killed prior agreements: enrichment limits, the sequencing of sanctions relief, and verification.
Verification is always the wall. Iran wants relief first, we want proof first. That gap has not moved much historically.
Right, and Vance is calling the sessions progress, which, diplomatically speaking, is the floor for what you say when you are still in the room.
Progress means nobody walked out. It does not mean anybody agreed to anything.
Fair. Now, here is where it gets complicated. While Vance is literally sitting in Switzerland trying to build this framework,
Trump posts on Truth Social?
Trump posts on Truth Social, threatening to resume military strikes against Iran, demanding they immediately stop support for what he called a Tehran-backed militia in Lebanon.
So your VP is across a table from Iranian officials, and your president is on social media threatening to bomb them at the same time?
That is the situation, yes.
I mean, strategically, you could argue this is good cop, bad cop. The question is whether the Iranians read it that way or just read it as chaos.
And whether Vance knew it was coming. Because if you are sitting in that room and your boss posts that, your credibility takes a hit in real time.
Right. The Iranians have to be asking, does this man speak for the administration or not?
There is also a congressional angle here that is not getting enough attention. War powers. If strikes resume, on what authority?
That question did not get fully resolved the first time around, and it absolutely does not get easier the second time.
Congress has been largely spectating on Iran policy, and the Hormuz Strait is not a background detail. About 20% of global oil transit moves through there.
So any escalation is not just a foreign policy story, it is an energy price story. It lands at the pump within days.
Which brings us to the third piece of this, and it is a number that should inform every decision being made in Switzerland and in Washington.
The poll.
CBS News and YouGov released this morning. 78% of Americans say the U.S. should end its military conflict with Iran now.
78, that is not a base number. That is a country.
It is bipartisan. And here is the second number. 79% say they do not believe U.S. involvement will produce a pro-Western government in Tehran.
So the public is not just tired of it. They do not think it is working. Those are two different things, and both of them matter.
It is actually the more important number. You can be tired of a war and still believe in the mission. When you stop believing in the outcome, that is a different problem.
And the administration has to govern into that. You cannot just point to progress in Switzerland and call it a day.
The survey was fielded Wednesday through Friday of last week. So this is fresh. These are real-time sentiments during active talks and active threats.
Which means people are watching this in real time and saying, wrap it up.
The 60-day framework, if it materializes, would at least give the administration something to point to. But the gaps on enrichment and verification are real.
And the Truth Social post does not help. You do not build a verification framework with someone you just threatened to bomb that morning.
Unless the threat is the leverage, which is a defensible theory, it just has to be coordinated to work.
Coordinated is doing a lot of work in that sentence.
Quick break. If you or someone you love is navigating life insurance or annuities, Policy Prepper breaks it all down in plain English. No sales pitch, just real information. Check it out at policyprepper.com.
Policyprepper.com? Bookmark it. Now back to the stories.
Shifting gears. The Democratic Socialists of America had a very good June, and the political world is still processing what it means.
2 major cities, same month. That is not a coincidence. That is an organizational moment.
In Washington, D.C., Janice Lewis George won the Democratic mayoral primary, defeating moderate candidate Kenyon McDuffie.
Mayor Muriel Bowser is not running again. Open seat, which always reshapes the race. George is now the presumptive successor.
And the week before that, DSA member Nithya Raman won the Los Angeles mayoral primary.
LA and DC. You cannot pick two cities with more symbolic weight in American politics.
The DSA has been building this organizational model for years. Deep precinct work, small dollar fundraising, candidate pipeline. This is that model producing results.
Primary results, which is the important asterisk. Winning a Democratic primary in DC or LA is very different from winning a general election.
Right, both cities lean heavily Democratic, so general elections are not gimmies for the moderate wing the way they might be elsewhere. But it is still a test.
The question the Hill is asking, and it is the right question, is whether the DSA model can translate primary wins into governing power in November.
And that means holding together a coalition that includes voters who pick the DSA candidate but are not ideological DSA members.
Which is how every primary works. You win with the base, then you have to expand. The DSA base is energized, but it is not a majority in either city by itself.
For Republicans watching this, and they should be watching this, it tells you something about where the energy is on the left right now.
The moderate lane in Democratic urban politics is getting narrower. McDuffie in D.C. is not a fringe candidate. He is a serious person who lost.
And that has downstream effects. If DSA candidates govern these cities and the results are mixed, that feeds one narrative. If they deliver, that feeds another.
Either way, the midterm environment just got a little more interesting to watch on the left side of the aisle.
There is also a policy dimension here that matters nationally. Both candidates have been vocal on housing, policing, and local budget priorities.
D.C. in particular is complicated because Congress has oversight authority over the district. So a DSA mayor in D.C. is not just a local story.
That is a detail a lot of people miss. Congress can and does intervene in D.C. governance. That relationship gets more interesting fast.
A Republican-controlled House and a DSA D.C. mayor. That is going to be a conversation.
To put it gently, and on the abortion ballot measure angle, Politico is flagging that at least 2 battleground states will have abortion rights measures on the midterm ballot.
Which connects to turnout models on both sides. That issue does not go dormant between cycles, it just moves to the states.
And it has consistently outperformed polling for the pro-abortion rights side since Dobbs. That is a documented pattern now, not a theory.
Republicans have learned that the hard way in several cycles. The question is whether the candidate-level messaging has caught up to the electoral reality.
We will be watching those ballot measures closely as they develop. The details on which states and what the specific language will be matter enormously.
Language is everything on ballot measures. Voters respond very differently to how a question is framed, not just what the question is.
All right, pulling back for a second. Today we covered a lot of ground. Iran diplomacy and the threat track running simultaneously. What does this week look like?
Vance is still in Switzerland as far as we know, so the talks are ongoing. Watch for whether there is a joint statement or a framework announcement.
And watch Trump's feed, because that is apparently also where Iran policy is being made in real time.
Secondarily, watch the DSA wins get litigated over the next few weeks. Endorsements, general election opponents, fundraising numbers, that is the next layer.
And the poll numbers on Iran are going to land on Capitol Hill this week. 78% is hard for members of Congress to look at and say nothing.
Especially anyone up in 2026 who is not in a safe seat. That number has constituent implications.
That is the Congressional Times. Find us at thecongressionaltimes.com. For deeper intelligence, money trails, lobbying filings, data nobody else is pulling, visit Gabby at gab-e.com. And if you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave us a review.
Thanks for spending part of your Monday with us. Stay sharp out there. We will be back tomorrow.